Ryan Burl. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm honored that you took the time to sit down with me. I really
Absolutely.
look forward to it. On every episode, I want to start off with giving each guest a gift.
Oh, man.
It's just a little treat, nothing too...
Do I need to open it right now?
Yeah, go ahead, check it out. Nothing crazy.
Oh, yeah. Cheyenne's going to appreciate these for sure. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's nice.
I just want to start off with a treat. Try to do something nice for everybody.
Yeah.
You can slap that on the truck if you want to.
Oh, yeah. I've got one on that Dodge out there now. I was looking for one to put on the trailer.
Yeah. Shout out to Mississippi Beef Council. Heck yeah.
Appreciate that.
Heck yeah, man. Oh yeah, there should be one more thing in there if I didn't forget it. I'm not sure if I forgot it or not.
Yeah, I don't see nothing else in there but air.
Oh my God.
It'd be all right. We'll get it on the next one.
Oh my God. Anywho, I got you some coasters from
Oh yeah, that's them right there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the first thing I pulled
yeah.
out. That's what I was saying. Cheyenne's going to appreciate these.
Oh yeah, that's from OC Leatherworks. It's
Okay.
It's a saddle shop in New Albany. If you're ever coming through up north, just come by, check them out.
Okay.
They got some really good gear. Zion works for them, so
Yeah, I appreciate that.
we love to see you come through. But yeah, man, how things going for you?
Busy.
Busy?
Not as busy as they're about to be, but busy nonetheless.
What did today look like for you?
Today wasn't too bad. It's really just I've had a filly here the last about 30 or 40 days, so really today was just a day to put mine back in the round pen and kind of zero in on them, taking some time away from, I ain't gonna say neglecting, but only pulling them just for work, versus getting back in there and doing some of the groundwork and stuff, because I feel like no matter how long you've had one or how far you go with them, you should always, hit the basics. So,
well, for those who don't know you, just give a little bit of your background, and then we'll dive right in.
I'm Ryan. I'm 22 years old from Mississippi. I do a little bit of a lot. I'm a pickup man. I day work, shape hats. Man, I'm probably forgetting some stuff. I mean, the days go so fast.
Yeah, you definitely do a lot for sure.
But
when I first discovered you, I was scrolling on TikTok, and I always got a bunch of Western stuff on my page, and I saw it, and I was like, golly, this dude's doing some cool stuff with the livestock catching, the wild stock that you catch. Yeah, I saw that, and then I was scrolling on Facebook one day, and you popped up in my suggested friends, and I was like, huh. So I looked into it, and I was like, dang, this dude's from Mississippi? I was like, there's no way he's from Mississippi.
Yep.
And it just blew my mind that you were right here in Senatobia, and I thought, like, I got to connect with this dude one day. And I know that we had thought about or talked about doing some videography for you, but I did away with that, and now we're here with the Steward Podcast. And again, I'm glad to have you on, and I feel like you're going to have some good insight for the viewers. And so let me ask this: what's your daily life look like?
It depends on the day, really. I guess we could start off with like a day, say we're just catching cows or something like that, because that's a lot of them right now, because there's not a whole lot going on this time of year. But I mean, we get up in the morning, feed first thing, feed, go out there, check legs, watch everything move, walk, make sure they're eating and drinking like they're supposed to. After that, make sure if we got in late the night before or something like that, just make sure the truck, everything's where it's supposed to be. Usually while they're eating, if I hadn't done it, I'll pick up out here or something like that, and then usually saddle one and let the day be what the day is. The day's kind of playing me more than I plan the days. With me not being on a specific ranch right now full time, I don't have really like a monotonous same thing every day. So some days we may get up and I may get a call the night before or the morning of from a buddy of mine, say that he's doing something that day and he needs help or he needs a horse hand, because being in Mississippi, I've got a lot of buddies per se that own livestock and they run them and they do stuff, but they don't cowboy, if that makes sense. They don't ride a horse. They don't really care to ride a horse. It's just not their thing. But some jobs you can't really get done on foot or on an ATV or anything like that. So a lot of the times they'll call me and I'll call the few people that, help me out, and we'll go do something like that. It really depends on the day.
Call in the cavalry.
Yeah.
Heck, yeah.
Pretty much.
So what drew you into Cowboy?
Oh boy, a number of things. Of course, it probably started out like most of us did, being a kid and watching westerns on TV, and the cowboys and the Indians, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I guess I always thought that was cool. I was more into that. Just my grandparents and stuff. That was more of what was on the TV than kind of sports or anything else. So you asked me about basketball. I can't tell you not one person that plays. Well, I take that back. LeBron James, I can do that.
LeBron James. For
but
sure.
who can? Everybody knows who that is. But and really, truly, you asked me about a lot of rodeo stuff. I'm not going to know a lot of those people because it quickly turned into me seeing of course, like gunfights and stuff like that. But then, there's always little clips in there of them having something at home or a little compound or something like that where they're raising cattle. So then I saw them swinging a rope, and I was like, everybody can shoot a gun. Not everybody can swing a rope.
True.
Let me go learn how to do that. So just being out in the yard doing stuff like that when I was a kid, I guess that kind of sparked the interest. And then, of course, school, grade school and stuff like that, you get to doing other things, play a few sports, do different things. Not really forget about it, but it's kind of on the back burner in your mind because, you're a kid. You got a million things racing through your head.
I think that happened with me.
Yeah.
My granddad, he had a few head of cattle, probably 20 or so, small herd. But I was interested in then, and that's when I got interested into horses. And, I enjoyed it then, but I really didn't understand it.
Right.
I just knew it was something fun to do.
And that's funny. That's funny you mentioned that because nobody in my family, like my own family, had that. I'm going to let you finish and then.
Okay. Yeah, I got you. But I was just saying my granddad, he had a small herd and a few horses, and it was just something fun. And then I got into sports, and like you were saying, you get into sports, you got a million things going on, you probably can drift away from it.
Yeah.
So I really drifted away from it, and then I get out of college, and that's how I got back into, I got introduced into the cutting horses, and boy, did I fall in love with that. And that's how
when you get on some good ones, it's a good place to be. So it's a lot of fun.
Heck yeah.
But like I was saying, you get kind of pulled away from it with the sports and the, first girlfriends and everything else that, you get distracted by in school.
For sure.
And then I started going to work with my uncle. He raises chickens and stuff. But that's as close to this life as I got was chickens.
Yeah. Is he from this area?
He is. He's from Como, Mississippi.
Okay.
And I was going to like flea markets and sales with him. Well, anyway, there was a guy there who was selling bottle calves. He's from somewhere in South Mississippi, but all of their bottle calves, they don't even bother shipping them or even feeding them out or anything. He'll bring them to these sales. So then, of course, me working with the birds and stuff, you smell a bird and work with a bird for a summer, and then you see them cows. Number one, they're a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
And they're a little bit cleaner. So anyway, I started going and talking to that guy, and he was an old guy, and then he started talking about the calves and the horses and all that. And I was like, well, I'm never going to ride a horse messing with these birds. So then my grandmother in Senatobia had a neighbor that had horses, and he didn't do any cowboying or anything. They just rode. So I got into it there. But, anybody that knows me knows if I start with something, I'm never going to be complacent and just stay there. I've got to figure out a way to make it grow. So that's kind of really what it was. It started out was just going to be riding horses as a hobby. But then it was like, okay, well, now I'm riding a horse. I need to buy a rope. Well, now I've got a rope. I need to learn how to use it. Well, now I've learned how to use it. I need to find some cattle. Well, now I found some cattle. I need to find a job. And then, it just.
All momentum.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
And just never stopped.
So
when I started, never quit.
Was there a moment where you fully committed to it? Like you chose this is what I want to do in life?
I think it was probably, it might have probably been around then whenever I started riding and then got more interested in learning how to use the rope. Yeah. Because once you figure that out and you start being successful with a rope at first, it's almost like a drug. Not that I've done drugs, but it's almost like a drug. You get to roping and you get to roping good, and then you get addicted to it. And so then,
Yeah, it's almost like riding horses. Like Zion, the guy behind the camera. Thank you for helping us film this today. But it's like I told him when he kind of first started getting into it, and I'm no expert by any means.
Neither am I. I'm nobody special. Don't get me wrong.
I think you've been in the game for a while.
I try.
But yeah, it's just like with him. I told him I knew that he was interested, and I told him, I was like, man, when you get on a horse one day, that's gonna be a scratch that you're going that you're gonna want to scratch.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's hard to get rid of. And dog bark. That threw me off. But heck yeah, So what do most people understand about a day hand? I know that you said that you do a little bit of day work.
It's kind of hard to explain if you've never done it. I guess the way people kind of look at it is like we talked about, in previous conversations. It's kind of romanticized, and that's not really what it is. I guess people don't really realize how hard it is to find work and to find good work and to find somebody that's not just plain honest going to use you for your skill, And then I guess I feel like you don't really want to beg for work because it almost seems like if you're begging everybody for work, then you're not good enough to get work, but you've also got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why I started with posting content. You know what I mean? It's not for me, and it's not to glorify anything, and it's not just to kind of brag and say I did it, but you'd be surprised that when I post a video, how many people comment like that filly. I mean, I've got I think 13 DMs right now just in the past couple of days from me making the video of her going home of, colts and fillies for the rest of the year. And I mean 13, that's a pretty decent number off, one video.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think, but to answer your question about what people understand about it, I think they just romanticize it because a lot of the stuff that they do see is just kind of like commercials or TV or the stuff that you can post on social media and YouTube, just the whooping and riding and the roping and but that's not all it is. There's a lot to it that you can't post just for, every app ever has community guidelines and different things like that.
So when you first noticed that you were committing to, cowboying, and like you say, you fell in love with the roping too, and I know that probably plays a role into being a day hand. So how do you mentally prepare yourself, like when you're getting ready to step on somebody else's operation?
Impossible.
Yep.
Yeah. You can't really, I guess you can prepare yourself by reminding yourself that whatever you do, you try your hardest at it and you stick to what you know and you're on somebody else's outfit. So if they're not necessarily doing something the same, it doesn't matter. You do it the way that they ask you to do it. And if there's something that just cannot be done that way, there is a respectful way to confront that and say, to pitch an idea. Should I say, I'm not going to say confront, but, there is a way to pitch an idea. But the main thing is go in there, be quiet, because there's probably going to be somebody else there that's either been there or been close or knows that person before. Go in, shut your mouth, open your ears, read the room, so to speak, and just, pull your hat down, go to work.
So would you say that reputation is pretty important in that
100%.
world? Yeah, for sure.
Yep, because all it takes, you can be the best hand physically out there, or you can be as a matter of fact, I had a conversation with a man from Southeast Montana today, and it was kind of hitting on this same thing because he just hired a fella, and he is, green as the day is long, or should I say the day is short this time of year. But but you can be the best hand physically and ruin your reputation by who you surround yourself with, what they're doing, not always necessarily what you're doing. I know it's popular right now for a bunch of the cowboys to use like a lot of rap music and stuff like that. That's okay, but think about what it's saying and, who it's saying it about and what you're doing, different stuff like that. I'm not telling you to be a politician and to, create an image that you're not to make yourself look better, but don't do the same thing and try to please a buddy or a friend or somebody around you, or just follow the trend and paint an image of something that you're not, because those people aren't going to be signing checks for you probably ever.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. If you've got to knock yourself down a notch or two to impress somebody else, they're never going to get you where you want to go.
Yeah.
I think another thing too is when you get there, look for somebody to learn from. Because if you're not learning in everything you do, you're also not growing.
Yeah.
So that's a big piece of it, is look for somebody to learn from. Because me, like I said, I'm nobody special. Man, there's a million people on this planet, in this country, in this state that's handier than I am. I'm sure of it.
I think you're pretty handy.
Well, I do appreciate that. But that's just the same thing. I can learn from the guy that's only been in this for 6 months just because he's been around somebody else who told him something or showed him something, or he's seen something, and that one thing that he could say may make something click that I've been trying to figure out for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think, just as far as to answer your question, to prepare yourself, open your ears and read the room, be ready to learn something, and then also do what you know how to do and do it well and be respectful.
Has there any been like has there ever been any hard situations that you've walked into as a day hand?
Yeah. There's been a few. There's been some where I thought I was going to a place that was much different than what it was, but I committed to it and nonetheless had to finish the day working.
Yeah.
There's been places where I've gone, people have called me and asked me to do a job because I do it well, and then I get there and the whole day, I've had a couple places tell me how to do it while I'm doing it, and then a lot of the times if you know that what they're saying is not necessarily correct, like I said, do what you know how to do, because half the time if they're talking, they're not really paying attention to what you're doing anyway.
Yeah.
So you do the job, do it well, and you can make them feel like it was their idea, they're going to call you back. They're going to hire you again.
For sure.
You know, and then I've also had places that while I was trying to work, they were getting in the way because they were, I don't really know if trying to please me is the correct wording, but while I was there, they were trying to tell me of, you know, all their accomplishments or what they could do or how they've done this. And I'm like, okay, well, help us out, do it. You know, don't tell me about it right now. Tell me about it when we eat, you know, let's work right now. So those are a lot of the hard situations, I guess, or like I've gone to some places where all the cowboys wanted to compete with each other. So instead of just going and having a common goal to do a job, you get there and everybody wants to compete. So there's definitely some tough
situations,
places to work. And like, you know, most of the time I feel like when that question's asked, people immediately think of weather. Weather's usually the least of a day hand's worries because you know where you're going, and usually the day before is kind of similar. So you know what kind of weather you're getting to. You know it's going to be hard. You should be mentally prepared for that the season before.
Yeah.
So I think really it's dealing with other people a lot of the time is probably the hardest thing.
What does being invited back say about a man?
I think that's what makes it worth doing a lot of the time, because it just shows you without somebody saying it, because anybody can say, hey man, you did a great job.
Yeah.
But when you get that call back from a familiar number and they say, hey, I want your help this year again.
Yeah.
That lets you know that they've thought about you for 300 days.
For sure.
And they want you back. You know what I mean? It just I think that says a lot about him to himself. Like, hey, you did what you knew how to do. Go do it even better this time. You've learned a lot over the year. You know, you should. And I think it also says something to, like, you know, his family, his friends, different stuff like that, even his peers or whatever. Like, you know, that gives them somebody to look at if they're not getting called back. You know, that could help them out. Or it could even just give encouragement if somebody's waiting on a call and they're not sure. Be like, hey, you know, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
For sure. For sure.
And a lot of times, even if you weren't the handiest person there and they call you back, a lot of times they just like who you are too, your personality. People don't realize how far being respectful can get you. Like, just simply respect before any of the work's started. Just simply being respectful can get you a long way, I feel like, because there's not a whole lot of that left.
Do you feel like a lot of people misunderstand what, you know, ranching or any of that really requires? Like, you know,
I think it's 50-50. I think the ones who try to understand it have a better understanding, because there's so many places to dig into it as far as, like, you know, our phones are right in our hand all the time.
Yeah.
There's books you can read, even people who are actually in it that create music, you know, that sort of thing. There's so many ways to actually dive and understand it. And then, like what me and you were doing, just having a conversation.
Yeah.
You know, catch somebody. Pickup man at a rodeo is a really good guy to talk to, because a lot of those guys are usually cowboys inside and outside of the arena. Not saying that any other events are not. It's just being a good pickup man takes a little bit more, I think, than some of the other things that go on in the arena, just because you have so many jobs at once.
Yeah.
So like that, just for an example, you know, talk to some people, and there's just so many ways to understand it. But then on the other hand, you've got people that immediately want to just buy a hat and some boots and say, I'm a cowboy on Facebook. You know?
For sure. Speaking of pickup, man, I saw that you do that a little bit as well.
I have gotten started in that. I say started. I've been doing it, I guess, 2 going on 3 years now, I think is right.
Yeah.
So I try not to really keep up with the dates of how long I've been doing something. I try not to keep tabs on it, just as long as I'm still enjoying it and doing it well.
So for people who probably don't know what a rodeo pickup man like is truly there to do, could you explain, you know, what that role is as a pickup man?
before I start explaining the job, I think the main thing is working with people. A lot of people, when they get into picking up, I notice now, and people that I've talked to, they think it's about them being the pickup man. You're a pickup man, and your job is not to do so much as it is to serve in the arena. What that is, first and foremost, is safety. I mean, some of the tasks that you're met with as a pickup man is, of course, the main thing, probably the main reason for pickup men is the bucking horses. You know, your job is to get the cowboy, if he makes it to the pickup man, get the cowboy off the animal safe, and then immediately your focus shifts from cowboy to animal athlete, and then you get that animal athlete de-rigged as best you can in the arena, and then get them out as quickly and as safe as possible. And then, like, you know, hang-ups too. When something like that happens, everybody else is running away from the wreck. You're kind of like the fireman, you know, you're running to it. So and you get there quick.
Safety is a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Is that pretty heavy? Being the pickup man, knowing that the rider's
I think
safety
so. I like it. I don't think I would trade it for anything else in that arena. I've done a couple other events, and I didn't do them near as long, not because I wasn't good at them. I just did not love them like I do being a pickup man. When I put those pickup chaps on, it's almost like putting a cape on, you know, just knowing what you're getting ready to go do. And it is pretty heavy because the pickup men usually don't get talked about unless you did something wrong, too. And so that's another thing. You got more people watching you than you realize. And a lot of that's like, you know, rodeo's full of young people our age, you know, 22, 23. I think the most popular ages in rodeo right now are 17 to 28, I think, or something like that. I mean, I'd have to check it to be sure. But you got to think, a lot of these, especially the 17 to 21, 22 age people, they still live at home. They're still mama's baby and stuff like that. Their moms are out there in that crowd. If those kids are, you know, looking like they're heading towards injury, it's your job in front of their parents and in front of their hometown and in front of everywhere else to get there and really get the job done, get it done well, and make it look, I don't know how to explain it, but other than saying you can be the most nervous person in the room, but you cannot show it one bit. You know what I mean? You got to be just as still as glass. You've got to be, you know, you have to be able to show, no matter what's going on inside, no nervousness, no anxiety, no fear, because if you get nervous and you get anxious, number one, your horse does, and they don't perform well and help you do your job as well. But then if you're the guy that's supposed to be getting everything under control and it's like, you know, scaring you, it's going to scare everybody else. And then people start freaking out, you know, so you've also got to hold it together more than I think anybody else probably.
Has there ever been a moment for you where, like, seconds really matter?
Knock on wood, not yet.
Not yet.
But I've got some rodeos coming up. I've got one where I'm picking up broncs and shagging bulls in August. And then I think I've got one the night of April 4th. I know I've got a bull for charity that day, but of course that's, you know, the bucking calves. There won't be any riders all day. But then I think I've got a rodeo that night as well. So.
Well, I want to take a step back. I had mentioned that when I first discovered you was when you were doing the stock catching. Could you go into that? Is that your main gig? Is that, you know, what you do
around here? That's probably the most steady work, just because there aren't a whole lot of big ranches in North Mississippi. There's some bigger places, South Mississippi, but they've kind of got their cowboys that they've been using, and you just about won't get hired on there until either somebody quits or retires, unless it's a seasonal job. Like this time of year, calving season and stuff, everybody's hiring. But they're hiring for the summer months. They want you to help them calve, you know, tag, doctor, tube, different stuff like that, and then they want you to do hay, and then they don't need you again until March, April. So as far as up here, North Mississippi, that's probably the most steady gig we got going, and I guess that really started with one of my first steady ranch jobs, or whatever you want to call it, which was Buck Wild Ranch. I started out as a feed hand, and then from there I went to working back pens and helping out at rodeos, and then I went to hauling and doing all of that, kind of a mixture of all of it. And you may have him on here one day, but you'll find out quick that if you're part of the Buck Wild crew, you got a million jobs. Your title may be one thing, but everybody's doing everything. And a lot of times when it was time to go catch rodeo cows, they're not near as handled as, you know, cows that you're going to be working on a regular basis. You don't see them as much most of the time. And I mean, some people see them every day, but the way it's set up here, they were, a few miles away. So the guy that feeds them sees them every day. The guy that checks the calves and stuff sees them every day, but we may not see them, but, 20 times a year, roughly a couple times a month that we run down there. And so a lot of times trying to get them pinned and stuff, you always had jumpers. And that was the thing. When they jump, pin what you got, and then it was time to go catch those. And then just catching them inside the fence so much, I realized, whenever we would post a couple videos doing that, how many people had stuff out. And so then it was like, hey, I've had this cow out. She's right down the road from my place. She's been there 2 months, but she won't come to feed. She won't pin. She's really mean. She's hooky. She don't respect dogs. She don't respect anything. Somebody's going to have to put a rope on her and drag her on a trailer.
Yeah.
That's where that started, doing little
Ryan
stuff
Burl
like that.
Comes in.
Yep, that's where we started doing little stuff like that. And then just when people started realizing, we got more popular with it, and that's kind of what we do.
Heck yeah. So could you explain, what it's really like? Is that really a good adrenaline dump? Are you?
I think when you're in pursuit is probably the most adrenaline, but everything else, I'm really good at slowing my heart rate and slowing my mind down for stuff.
Would you say that fear is useful or harmful in situations like that?
I think in situations like that, it's going to be harmful.
Yeah.
But I think it's also person to person, because I'm sure some people get nervous, get scared, and then they perform better under pressure.
Yeah.
But me personally, I like to slow my mind down, and I mean slow my mind down from when I get up. When I wake up, scroll on Facebook.
Yeah.
I go feed. After I feed, I come in, I get dressed. After I get dressed, I let the horses out, grab what I'm going to use, brush them, saddle them. They stand there for a while. Even their day starts slow. Start slow, end slow. And I mean everything from going to get my biscuit and my chicken tender from the gas station. Shout out to 76. It's the same gas station every time because it's right here by the house. So, and I mean, it's just slow. I plan ahead though. Like I'm not going to, if I wake up at daylight because I missed an alarm or didn't wake up or whatever, then that's a little bit different story. But if I know that I'm going, 3 hours away or 2 hours away and I need to be there at 7 in the morning, well, I'm planning to leave here. If I need to be there, and it's 2 hours away, I plan to leave here at, I think 4:30 or whatever it is, 2.5 hours before.
Yeah.
And so then that looks like me getting up at 2:30. And everybody's like, why do you get up 2 hours before you leave? That's so I can spend 10, 15 minutes doing nothing when I first wake up, thinking about the day. And then 30 minutes, feeding and then coming back in, getting dressed. 30 minutes getting the truck ready, moving the stuff that I didn't move yesterday because I was too tired when I got home. Different stuff like that. I saddle slow. I like to look at my horses, really look at everything, make sure they're comfortable. And I mean, I take my time. I don't like to have to get up and I've only got however much time it takes. If I've only got that much time, I'm already behind. You know what I mean? Because something's going to happen. A horse is going to roll. The horse that you decided to use is going to be cut somewhere from the barbed wire. Then you got to clean them up and put them up and then go catch another one. So now you're 45 minutes behind because you were trying to clean everything, cold hose, different stuff like that, because that comes first. Take care of the ones that take care of you. You know what I mean? I'm not going to see one cut up and be like, oh, I'll get him when I get back. No, I'm going to take care of him now.
Got to.
You know what I mean? So that's why I get up early, because there's so many variables. They're out there all night, middle of the night. Horses can't see that well in the dark. They could do anything before. They're not going to be like, well, Ron needs to use me at, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to hang out down here in the barn until then. They're not going to do that. That'll be when they decide to fight or when they decide to try to jump or do, And then like a lot of times, if I don't need those horses or anything, they are the easiest thing to catch. I can open the chain on the gate and they're all trotting to me. If I need to use them, they're going to make me walk all the way to the other end of the pasture. And then some of them want to trot 2 circles around you and then just look and be like, all right, I'm done. Different stuff like that. So if I only gave myself enough time, then now I got to walk forever. And then if one decides to trot and then the other one sees it and they're feeling good because it cooled off more than I thought it would, now they're running circles around the pasture. And if you don't give yourself enough time, then you're thinking you're late.
Yeah.
Your heart rate's up.
Yeah.
They're already running around. When you get close to them, they can sense that. Now they're going to actually run from you.
Yeah.
So I give myself plenty of time. So when I do that, I'll be like, all right, buddy, if you want to run and wear yourself out right now, you're still going to get saddled and get on this trailer.
That's right. That's exactly right. Heck yeah. So you do a little bit of colt training?
I do. And that started with me getting into this deal. Remember I told you it was a neighbor that had horses. We've never had horses. halfway couldn't afford them, and then with me being the only person in my family that was interested, whenever we could afford them, we wasn't spending money on horses, you know, because it wasn't my decision. I didn't run the household.
Yeah.
Of course, I mean, I was a kid, but it started out with me having to get cheap stuff or free stuff or use somebody else's horse that, you know, 4 years old and never been saddled, so I had to figure it out. I didn't have much help in Mississippi. I mean, I don't have much help now.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people that'll tell you that's another thing when you get into this. Everybody that says they're your friend or everybody that says they're for you or is going to help you, a lot of them say it because that's what you're supposed to say, especially to a young person. But a lot of them, even the ones that are qualified to help you, are really not going to take the time out of their day. And that's why I kind of try to make it a point to help people when I'm doing it, because I had no help.
Yeah.
And so I know how hard it was for me. And I think that also kind of makes you work harder for it. So I think that that's where I'm at. But also, too, some people are going to need that help or need that push or need to see somebody doing it, because not everybody's as driven as I am, if that makes sense. If I want it, I'm going to get it.
Absolutely.
No matter what I got to do. I don't care if it takes 10 years or 10 minutes, I'm going to get it. But as far as starting colts, it started out ride and jump pretty much, and then just having to try to figure out how to make this work for a job, because, okay, well, this person's hiring me. These are some of my first jobs or whatever, but I'm riding this piece of junk I can barely get a job done on. Well, I know he's going to need me by the weekend. I got to ride this horse every day so I can figure him out. He can figure me out, and we can figure the job out before we go. I've never studied under a trainer. I don't watch videos because I don't want to try to mimic somebody and then there be something that I can't see through a video or a camera. And so then I do something wrong that'll set me or the horse back. It's all feeling.
I've never thought about it that way.
Yep, it's all feeling for me, and it's all pressure and release. Not that those guys aren't great, but if I can't go to a clinic, which I don't have the time to travel and do that kind of stuff, if I can't go to a clinic and let them watch me and tell me there, I don't want to watch it through a camera because they recorded it. I can watch it 10 times, but if there's something I'm missing by watching a video, I just, that may be the puzzle piece. So that's why I try to feel it. I feel like the best thing to do is find somebody you can do it with, or just do it yourself. You're going to lose money. You're going to lose time. You're going to lose your mind, but you just got to do it if you want to do it. That's the thing. Don't let anybody tell you you can't or you shouldn't, because those people don't know. Half the time they're either jealous because they're not where you are now, or they're scared, so they want you to be scared too because they don't want you to surpass them. I mean, it's a million reasons that people tell you you can't. It reminds
me of a quote that you I think it was on one of your TikTok posts. It was like, don't ever take advice from people that's not,
don't
where you want to go.
Yeah, don't take advice from someone who's never been where you're trying to go. I can't remember where I heard that at, but it was on a TikTok.
Yeah. So what's your process from that first? What's your process from like that first saddle to the first ride?
Usually, when I get them here, I just let them be a horse for a few days. That way they can get acclimated to the area, because if it's like the last one I had, she never come out of the pasture that she was in from a weanling until I got her. So then, of course, if y'all saw her getting on the trailer, that was crazy. It took us an hour and a half, and I could have got it done quicker, but I feel like it wouldn't have been a beneficial experience for her, because if I just got her on there, you can force some of these animals, but that's not the way, because then you'll have to force everything later. I felt like from step one, she's got to figure it out. So she figured that out. She gets here, then she goes out here with mine. She figures these out, through a fence or whatever, because I don't just want them to meet right off the bat, because my little red mare down there, she wouldn't be here the next morning if I did that. So I let them meet, just kind of be a horse, get used to where they're going to be working at before I add, homework to it. Then once we start, I put them out in the round pen. I lunge. A lot of people don't agree with how I start this. I don't try to mess with putting saddles or pads or anything of that nature on until I've got them good on the ground and I've got them facing in. When I just step, they're respectful enough to know that I'm asking you to go the other direction. And I also have them turn their face to me on the ground. That's a little bit different when I'm riding. I'll explain that in a minute. But I have them turn their face to me on the ground, because if I'm on the ground and you never turn your butt to me, I can't ever get kicked that way. You know what I mean? You can usually see everything else coming before it comes, but those back legs, they move quick.
Absolutely.
So that's one thing I do. And also, once you become the sweet spot like that, every time you stop, they're facing you and looking for you. That means they're also paying attention, so they're ready and they're willing to learn. There's a lot of licking and chewing that comes with that different stuff. So then I start saddling. A a lot of people baby these horses for a week at a time to start saddling. I don't believe in that. You're never going to take that long to do anything. I think go ahead and put them to work. That's what they're here for. I got them for 30 days, not, 6 months. So, and I want them going home doing a job at the end of this.
Speaking of that, I'm going to intervene on that because I have a question. What do you refuse to rush, like even if, a client is paying you? What's one thing that you refuse to rush on when it comes to training a colt?
Say you send me a horse and you give me 60 days to get them roping. If that horse don't tell me they're ready to take anything to the horn, I will not rope on them.
Yeah.
That whatever, pretty much it's anything, because I let the horse tell me when they're ready. Just like, that filly told me when she was ready to take a saddle, and she did, and she didn't kick or paw or run out from under it, all day long or nothing. She moved out from under the pressure one time, and then she looked at me and she waited, and then I tried it again, and she released, and I was like, okay, so you're ready to take a saddle. And that's just, that's kind of how it is. I don't rush anything that they're not ready for. A lot of them don't get a saddle as quick as she did, but then you could see she didn't get a job as quick as some of the others did. She spent a little bit more time riding, And I mean, in 6 rides, I was gathering a pasture on her, but a lot of them, that third ride, I'm already outside of the round pen, getting ready to do that kind of stuff. But her, she wasn't quite ready yet. It took her a minute to figure out the steering. So I was taking her to an arena and doing it. So it was a bigger space, but it still just wasn't, I wasn't putting too much on her.
Yeah.
But usually, next step, I start putting the pad on them and stuff. If they're ready to take that, I'll move them around a day, and I'll, with the saddle on, the same day that the pad goes on, the saddle goes on. Because if you're ready to take that pressure to your back and you're good with that, let's make you just a little bit uncomfortable, because this ranch work especially is going to be uncomfortable a million times. You can ship cows for a year, and if a horse never gets hooked, the first time they get hooked, they're still going to be like, hey, what is going on?
Absolutely.
So it's always going to be something uncomfortable, and you've got to teach them early to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. That way they don't freak out when that happens for the first time. So I'll go ahead and saddle them, move them around, let them do their thing. And if I've got somewhere safe to turn them out with it, I'll turn them out and let them go be a horse and do what they enjoy doing, eating, mangling with the other horses, drinking water because they're tired. And then they learn to, if they're out of breath and they're hot and they're tired, and then they go out there and cool off, they can do that in the saddle. And I've got a little cheap saddle that I throw on them in case they roll in it. I wouldn't be upset if they tore it up. And a lot of times they don't even roll in it, but some of them learn too when they try to roll with a saddle on. Saddle horn makes it a little bit harder than they don't do that, so I'm never worried about them just laying down and rolling with a rider. I've had a couple people ask that question.
Yeah.
But anyway, I do that once they've had a day turned out with it, and I know they're used to it, whatever, I'll come get them. And she was uncomfortable getting in the trailer, so I put her in the trailer to unsaddle, that kind of thing. There's so many things that go into a day with a colt, and no two horses are the same.
Yeah.
So, if they're uncomfortable with something the day before, but then they figure it out, when I add a new step that they're a little bit uncomfortable with, I take that pressure away doing the thing that they just got comfortable with the day before. So then it in turn makes that thing more comfortable, but then also shows you that this new thing, the pressure's not going to last forever.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it. And then, once I move them around a couple days and they don't buck, just with the saddle going straight on while they're fresh and moving them, if they don't buck a couple days like that, then I'll go ahead and throw a leg over and start riding. Because usually, the reason I do it that way, I don't usually have anybody out here with me. So I'm not just a lot of cowboys will just saddle them and throw a leg over and then let them be a bronc. You know what I'm saying? My goal is to never have them buck under saddle with a rider.
Yeah.
When you put a saddle on, a lot of the time they're going to do something. But very rarely will one buck under saddle with a rider when I've got them.
Yeah.
And I take pride in that.
Heck yeah.
But that's pretty much it. And then after I ride them a couple days in the round pen or an arena or wherever I'm riding, and they get comfortable and kind of understand what I'm asking when we're steering, I take them to work. They get on the trailer with even if they just stand all day and watch me work, I take them wherever I'm going. If I'm going to catch cows, I don't take them because then I need the space on the trailer. But like if we're going gathering bulls or, getting up somebody's cows or pinning something or dragging calves, they can go and they can stand all day and they can watch it all. I had her one night. It was actually her second ride, I think, and I went ahead and took her. She was still in a pen being ridden, but a buddy of mine needed me to pick up a couple bulls for him because his trailer was buried under the snow. So I went to pick up those bulls. She went with me. She loaded the trailer that she was originally uncomfortable getting on behind those bulls that was on the trailer. So then that's a new thing. But then you're riding and learning all this, soaking it all up on the drive, and you realize this isn't going to hurt me.
Yeah.
This isn't as bad as I tried to make it, as a colt, So it's just, it depends on the horse. really, to answer the question. But
so how do you handle a horse that resists mentally?
treat them like they're already broke. Ignore it. I think that's the biggest thing. If you make a big deal out of it, they'll make a bigger deal out of it.
Yeah.
So that's how I attack a lot of them, is treat them like they're already broke, but be prepared for them to act like a bronc.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Be prepared to be pawed. So don't stand anywhere where you won't be able to see it coming. Don't stand anywhere that you can't get out of the way in time. But don't let them see you avoiding them. Don't creep around to them or nothing like that. You know what I mean? If I need to do something in here, say I need to get a pair of them pickup straps down or something like that, it's big, flappy, loud or whatever, tie them somewhere good where you know they can't get away and do what you got to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, that's because showing them more, some people call it flooding, but I think if you do it right, it just exposes them to so much in a way where they're not the main character, if that makes sense. So I'm not doing all these things to them. You know, I'm not throwing a tarp on them if they're like, you know, afraid of anything that flaps. I'm just going to bring them up here in time while I'm feeding or something like that. You know, while I'm messing with bags. If I'm burning trash, I'll bring them up here in time while I do that out here all day.
Yeah.
You know, different stuff like that. Just show them stuff that has nothing to do with their job.
Yeah.
A lot of the time.
Is there anything that you've had to unlearn? As far as training on one?
Sharing too much.
Yeah.
Not with the horse. I think there's been things I had to learn with horses, but not anything I've had to unlearn, so to speak. But I think letting everybody be involved in every step of the way, because then you get too many people telling you things to try. But that may work for that horse or work for them and not work for you. So I think the biggest thing that I had to unlearn was taking too much advice.
Yeah.
So, because of course, man, I'm trying to learn and nobody's helping. Well, anytime anybody says anything, I immediately wanted to try it. You know what I mean? But now if I do hear something, that's not to say that I don't take advice, but I study it first. I really think about it before I put it to anything. And if I do, I'll put it to one of mine before I put it to one that ain't never seen anything.
Yeah.
You know, I'll try it on my horses and see how long it takes a broke one that does know pressure and release really well, see how long it takes them to get it. I get good at it and then try it instead of just taking it and trying to do exactly step by step what they said to do.
Heck yeah. I like that. I really like that approach. What kind of, let me see, what kind of man do you think, I won't even say man, what kind of individual do you think somebody has to become to be able to even train a horse or train a horse well?
A very selfless, a very patient, a very put myself last. I'm not in charge. I'm not gonna manhandle this animal, because that's where a lot of people, they start training horses and then they fail, and that does go with men especially. I think because of like the level of testosterone that we have. If it's not going our way, we want to try to force it to go our way, and I mean that doesn't work. So I think you have to be a very patient, and I think you have to think a lot more than people realize.
Yeah.
It comes more natural to some than others, for sure. You also have to be okay with being bored. That's a big part of it that nobody talks about. Training horses is not fun a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Because you have to go so slow for a lot of these animals that like you're like, oh my gosh, how long is this going to take? You know, and then you like get distracted. So you've also got to be focused because you're so bored that you're looking at everything else. You're like, okay, I need to spray those weeds. That bar's broke on the round pen. I need to get shoes tacked on this one. I need to do that. You know, you start thinking about so many things because it's so time consuming sometimes, but it's not to the part where you're taking them out and doing other things that you love. So I think you've got to be, to answer the question, a selfless person, somebody that's willing to learn from an animal, and somebody that's okay with being bored.
Heck yeah. Whew, man, you carry a lot.
Yeah.
And to be 22 years old, that's amazing. The mindset that you have, I really like that. I really like that. So, like, tell me about the marriage. Like, does that have any effect on the lifestyle? I know y'all work right along with each other.
I was about to say, I think it does. I think that she's helped me with a lot of those qualities that I was talking about being more selfless, slowing down, because there's things that an animal may be trying to show you that you don't realize, but your wife's going to flat out tell you.
Yeah, they got a lot of, wives got a lot of intuition.
Yeah, and then they can also see things too, like, me being a man, men are more logical creatures than emotional creatures. So I know this is kind of talking about the work and the animals, but it's also talking about the marriage because it's what it's taught me. Those horses may not have a mind and a heart like ours, but they do remember who you are and what kind of person you are, and your, I guess you could call it frequencies is what the philosophers say whatever. But you notice how, like, there's a native guy and he said that women have a quiet soul or a gentle soul or something like that. It was some quote on Facebook that I saw. But when I started thinking about that and then started watching her and then listening to some of the things that she told me, slowing down a lot of times with these horses doesn't always mean like not fast tracking your training, but also just taking the steps to go out there, brush this one a little bit longer, brush this one a different way. If they're moving this way, it's got to be done, but take your hand in front of the brush, different stuff like that. So just try to connect more with those horses. And it sounds funny, but I guess treat their, or don't really know what the word is, but you almost treat it like you would a kid. You know how things can hurt a kid's feelings and stick with them a lot longer than, a person. You've got to think about those horses, young ones especially, like that. And I think that's a thing that marriage has taught me. But other than that, I don't ever have to wear a whole lot of dirty clothes a bunch of days in a row. So I appreciate that.
Should keep you taken care of.
Having feminine help out there too, there's a lot less yelling than there has always been. And that's from like between me and her, or also between me and the other cowboys, because a lot of times they're distracted by, a woman being out there. Yeah. And then sometimes when they get to yelling and talking crazy, she'll say something to them and it's yes, ma'am. So
so did Cheyenne, did she grow up in this, or did you?
Nope.
Not really.
Whenever we met, I was actually so her dad's a bull rider, and his coach was somebody who I worked under at the Northwest Mississippi Community College Farm, Bud Young. He coached him and was around him for a while, and then we knew a bunch of the same people. And so over the years, I've been friends, so to speak, with him. Never met his twin son and daughter. But I got invited by another one of his daughters to a Halloween gathering that they had. They were just, having folks out and eating, trying to do something safe where people were still together, because Halloween's turned into just a crazy, weekend for people or whatever. Yeah. But anyway, make a long story short, we were over there. She had no idea about anything. She actually thought that me coming in at first was a costume for the, a theme for something. But then she told me later on that after she heard me talk nothing about ranching, she knew that wasn't just, that night. She could just, feel it or whatever. But we started talking that night, and her sister was telling her about how she had come to the ranch that I was working at the time before and rode a horse for the first time and pet a bottle calf or something we had. And so she was like, you should take me to see the cows one day, that kind of thing. And then I was like, all right, cool. Just Cowboy used to women being like, hey, you should take me to see the ranch. And so you hear it and don't hear it because you don't really think that she sees you as a person. Yeah. Well, anyway, throughout the night, we talked more. She was different than anybody I'd ever talked to, and I'm not just saying that because she's my wife. I mean that. Yeah. And then later on, she's like, how you going to take me to see anything if you don't have my number? So really, I guess she made the first move on me.
Pretty smooth.
Yeah. So then I gave her my number, and then she said it really sealed it that we were out talking all night that night. I mean, everybody was up until 1, 2, 3 in the morning, and then 6:30 in the morning, she heard my truck fire up. I was going to get cleaned up, get dressed, and go to church also. So then she really admired that part of it. And I get distracted when I'm talking about her because I love her so much. What was your original question? I feel like I could just run my mouth a bunch.
No, I think you hit it right.
Okay.
Oh, God.
No, there's a lot to talk about. If you ask me about her, this thing could go on.
Hey,
we
could go on. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I know the feeling. I love my wife as well, so it does feel good when you have a good love.
And we just think there's not been anybody that I've ever met and so quickly either, and she talks about it all the time, she'll think it and then I'll say it, or I'll think it and then she'll say it. So I know she's not joking when she says it because it happens to me, or we'll say the same thing the same way at the same time, and then just the willingness to learn and take the hard part of it. There's been days where I literally said word for word one day while we were worming some goats, because I don't like goats. She now does not like goats. And we were trying to catch goats and rope on a horse. Roping calves on a horse is hard enough in the pasture.
Yeah.
Goats,
Oh, yeah.
it's another level of bring your patience to work.
Absolutely.
And I word for word said, you committed to helping me today. If you want to break up with me, you break up with me after every one of these goats are wormed. Right now, ride your horse. And you could tell I had never been married before, because we weren't even engaged yet. Yeah, that's not something you say to anybody, let alone a woman, because as soon as we got done, when the last goat was wormed, she started out by saying, I'm not going to break up with you, but you need to listen to me. And then she told me some things that I'm not going to say on here.
Yeah.
But needless to say, that's where some of that learning I was talking about with being softer and being slow and remembering that she's not just one of the cowboys, you know. So,
Oh, God. That's hilarious.
yeah.
That's hilarious. What do you hope younger guys that, you know, get to watch you and see the things you do, what do you hope that they understand about commitment?
That it's not just a word, and commitment doesn't mean while I'm enjoying it. It's probably the biggest thing. I think commitment, commitment is a verb. You know, it doesn't mean while I'm enjoying it, because there's going to be some days where you can't feel your fingers. You can't feel your face. There's going to be some days where nothing's going right. You hate yourself. You hate your horses. You hate the idea. You don't want to hear anybody talk. You hate your boss. You hate your peers. And you hate so many things. But you've got to back up from that and look at the bigger picture. You know what I mean? So I think that commitment means doing it no matter what. Doing it when you don't want to, doing it when somebody tells you to quit, doing it when you tell yourself to quit. That was a big thing for me. I think it was like 2019 or 2020. It had to be around then, because it was before everybody was quarantined and all that. But I was just feeding and seemed like nothing was going right. The door on the feeder wouldn't stay open or something. It had like slammed on my hand. And then like there were bulls out that day. I think the vehicle I was in a car at the time, it had quit. It was just a million things going wrong. And then like, you know, I thought I had all the weed sprayed for the guy I was working for, and he was nitpicky. I mean, he'll find everything, but it makes you better. So I appreciate it now. But at the time, I was done that day. You know what I mean? Like I thought that when I got everything done, I was going to finish, because I said I would, and I've always been that way. If I started, I finish it. But when I finished, I told myself while I was doing it that I wouldn't be doing it again. And I thought that I was going to call him the next day and be like, hey, look, I'll help you till you find some help, but I'm out. And then once I got home and I cooled off and realized that I don't feel like that anymore, that was part of me learning that commitment too, is in those moments, I was glad that I did finish, because a lot of people would have quit. You still have to finish even when you don't like it, because it makes it worth it when you do that. It makes it worth the times that are easy or that are, you know, cleaner or more comfortable. It's the same thing, just commitment also means being comfortable with being uncomfortable. Yeah. Because there's going to be some things that make you uncomfortable, and you've got to do it anyway.
Yeah. Wow. That's deep.
Yeah. It's a lot.
Deep. So. How's this life, you know, shaped you as a person, like helped you develop your character? Because, I mean, you've been doing it for a long time.
I think.
You started when you were like 15, 14?
14, 15.
Yeah, so you've been doing it for a while.
14, 15.
Yeah,
so, I mean, I was kind of introduced to it, like I said, a little bit younger, just going to stuff and watching some guys and about like you did. It was fun to go help, but really wanting to do it for myself, like 14, 15. That's when I started helping people and working for free to get my foot in the door. Yeah,
so in that short span of 15, not really short, but 15 to 22, how's that help shape your character, you know, as a person?
I think the main thing is it teaches you how to put yourself last, because if you don't know, everybody else is going to do it for you, and then you get used to that. But putting yourself last does not mean to sell yourself short, if that makes sense. Like, you put yourself last, you have to be selfless, but you still know your worth, if that makes sense. And I think that's a big thing. It's taught me my worth, because I can see it. I can see that other people aren't doing the things that I'm doing, or can't do it, not because they're incapable, but because they don't have that commitment, or they don't have the drive, or they don't stick with it, things like that. So I think it makes me tougher in a whole, if that makes sense. It teaches me not to take things personal.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I had no help doing a lot of things, and I know I've heard conversations. Some of it, I just don't have that help because not to make it about this, but I'm a black man in Mississippi that's cowboy. You know what I mean? There's not a whole lot of help.
Yeah.
You know, there's not a lot of people that enjoy seeing me do what I do because of what I look like. And then they're not, just to get off of that, there's also people who, like I work for a lot of people who own cattle. They have kids and grandkids that they would have loved to see do this. Their kids and grandkids don't want any part of it.
Yeah.
So then they're out there and they're taking their not being proud of their people that they wanted to be in your position out on you doing it because they need you to do it. But then they also, you know, they treat you like mud, for lack of better terms, just because you're not who they wanted to do it. So that's another thing with, it's not at me, it's something that other people have going on when you meet stuff like that. Horses that don't learn as fast, they don't have anything against the person, they just don't learn as fast, or they're stubborn just like some of us are, different things like that. So it teaches you not to think like, oh, this horse hates me, because that's a lot of thing, you know, that's a lot, I hear a lot of people say that is what I'm trying to say. You know, they'll be working with a horse and be like, well, I don't like that horse because he doesn't like me. It's not that he doesn't like you. He doesn't like the pressure that's being put on him. You know, if you were used to doing something a certain way and then some other outside, I guess, entity, if that's even the word that I'm looking for, comes in to try to, you know, encourage you or suggest even to you that you change something, you're not going to like that at first either. And nobody is, you know, when you get used to doing something. So I think the biggest thing is it's made me a more selfless person. Because if you try to do it all yourself and get it all for yourself and keep it all for yourself, number one, nobody likes you. You don't have any friends, and sometimes you're going to need friends to lean on when you do stuff. I think it's made me not take things more personal because of all the hardship and because of all the things that don't go your way, and they're not going to. That's part of being a cowboy. It's hard to, I don't know, it's almost like being a glorified peon. In a way, in a sense, yeah, and being okay with that, you know what I mean? Because, I mean, everybody needs you to do the work, and everybody's going to call you, and everybody's going to like who you are as a person, but they don't really value the cowboy that much. That's kind of where the term day trash comes from. You know, where a lot of cowboys are like, oh, I'm just day trash. They don't really feel like they're trash or mean that they're trash. They just know that compared to everybody else in this, where you've got your, you know, your cattle ranchers and stuff like that, or like your different people, you know where you are on that kind of, I guess you could call it hierarchy. You're a very important piece to the puzzle, but you're not going to be treated like that, if that makes sense, and just being okay with being put last. And then you have to put yourself last for your animals and stuff like that. They eat before you do. You know what I mean? If there's something going on with a dog or whatever and I was ready to go in, but this just showed up, you know, we were working one day and my black dog, she worked all day perfectly fine. You know, I didn't know anything was wrong. She didn't tell me because she loves her job. She gets in the dog box. It's dark when we get done. Well, I don't realize until we come inside in the house, and this is not something that could have happened in the dog box. I've hauled them dogs in there a million times. We get inside. We get to the house. You know, they're eating. Those three stay inside the house because they started out as pets. The other two started out as Cheyenne's dogs, and then once I find out they'll work, they go to work.
That's right.
But she come in. They were eating. And there was just a trail of blood coming from in there where they eat at to the living room where their beds are. So then I looked at all three dogs. She had a hole big enough for me to hold her ribs and stick my thumb in. And she wouldn't even show me. So now, where I was getting ready to wind down, shower, go to bed, me and my uncle had to sit out here and put stitches in her. You know, different stuff like that. And it's just once you've taken your boots off and your jeans off and you sit down and you think you're done, and then something like that pops up, that's a part of that commitment. Because you're like, oh my gosh, this day's never going to end. You know what I mean? And so it's always one thing after another. It's like I was working on my last horse for the day. That day that fish cut that muscle out of his shoulder, and then I had to turn around and go all the way to Tennessee to the vet with him in the middle of the night. You know, because that's not something we can do out here. So it's
even after, you know, after all the problems that arise in this life at any moment, why is it worth to continue it?
I think that's almost a loaded question, because for some people it's simply seeing that new life in the spring and seeing the calves and stuff like that and just watching them grow. I think for me, part of it is knowing where something started, not necessarily yourself, but like take calves in March, May, whatever, and then you go look at them in November, look at them in a year, just looking at the progress and knowing that you contributed to it. I think a lot for men, like, males specific, I think it's feeling needed because you are going to get that call. People are going to call you. People are going to need you, and that's something that a man needs. I think also for men, it's being respected because there are people that they may not like you. They may not value you, but they do respect you because they know that you're doing something that they can't do, or else they would just be doing it. And like I said, that doesn't mean that they're physically incapable. They may not be able to do it because of the mental strain that it is. They may not be able to do it because they're not willing to, some days, for some moments, put the cattle or the dog or the horse over something that they want to do. There's a lot of times where, especially when it's cold, because I don't love the cold, I just want to come home to my wife. But I know that I've got to stay out here and pull this calf, or I know that I got to work on this truck because I'm going to need it tomorrow. We're going to need it. And if I don't do it now, I'll be grouchy in the morning trying to get up early and do it. So I've got to stay away longer. Just little things like that. But I think it makes it worth it because you are that guy, I guess, for lack of better terms, and people know you as such. For me, it's feeling needed because I like to feel needed at home, of course, but then I do like to feel like I'm giving back to the people who've poured into me. Like I said, there hasn't been many, but there are a handful, and they know who they are that have poured into me that now, when they call, I'm glad that I can be the guy that they call and just jump up at any given moment and go do it, no questions asked. They don't need to show me how. I don't need help from anybody. I can go do it, and I'm that guy for them. I think that makes it worth it. And then, of course, the part that everybody knows is like the branding and the catching cows and the fun parts like that. So, and I mean, for me too, I value children because I value future and stuff like that. So I think that even just all the kids loving you. I mean, what kid doesn't love a cowboy? Like you said earlier, America romanticizes the cowboy. So, that translates into the kids. The kids love you. All the little boys want to be and stuff like that. All the little girls feel safe and stuff like that. It's just different stuff. And me, I like to be able to show kids things and then go watch, later on and be like, hey, I taught them how to do that. And they've put that not only to their horses at home if they've got them, but like even their school and stuff like that. Some kids are doing better in school because, say, they watch this conversation about commitment, doing something when you don't want to do it, but it needs to be done. They don't want to do their homework, but then they go do that. And then they move on, and then they graduate. They can study what they want in college. They have the scholarships and stuff if they couldn't afford it. Like, it goes to so many different things outside of just farming or ranching. So I think it makes it worth it. It just makes you a better person overall, too.
I agree with that.
So.
I agree with that. Where do you see yourself in next 10 years?
Oh, my gosh. I have no idea. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. Hopefully, still doing what I enjoy doing, no matter what that looks like. Whether that means doing it here or if God calls me to be somewhere else, because that's another thing. I base it on faith. So I try not to look too far forward and get too focused on planning, because if I plan it out, it's going to be different every time. You know what I mean? Even if I plan something out and I get the same thing, but because I plan it, God wants to show me that I'm still going to get there, but not how I planned it. It may not look the same and be the same. So I try not to think so far forward, but hopefully I'm still doing what I enjoy doing. Like I said, no matter where that looks like or what that looks like,
That kind of happened to me. I had plans of like moving to Texas and trying to go be on the ranch, go be a day hand or be a loper for somebody or something like that. And God definitely told me, no, not yet. And he done it in a good way, though. He blessed me with a good wife and my feral little boy. I got a 1-year-old. He's a mess. But heck yeah. Man. I don't even know what to say, dude. That's crazy.
I mean, I don't either. Like I said, you asking me questions, I can answer the questions, but as far as just spitting out conversation,
it just blows my mind,
tough.
The wisdom that you have at 22.
I appreciate it. That's a lot of hours and not so much sleep. It takes hours to get it. So
you got any gray hairs coming in yet?
Well, I keep it shaved, so I don't know when they'll get there. I don't know when they'll get there. I guess they'll show up in the mustache, but as far as up top, I keep it cut, so I don't even have to think about it.
Heck yeah. Well, man, I'm glad you took the time to sit down with me.
You bet.
I really am. I look forward to even, connecting with you after this podcast. What's your social media for anybody that wants to go, follow you or reach out to you for any work or anything like that?
TikTok is That Rancher Ryan. YouTube is That Rancher Ryan. Facebook is Ryan Burl. That's Burl. A lot of people think it's Burrow, but it's Burl.
Burl.
And then as far as work goes, I usually keep a pinned post or one of the most recent posts with what we offer and my phone number, my contact, different stuff like that. Yeah. So.
Gotcha. Well, what's one last piece of advice that you want to give to the viewers?
Well, we hit on don't take advice from anybody who hasn't been where you're going. So,
like if me or you were to pass away tonight, Lord willing we don't, but if we did, what's the one last piece of advice you would give to anybody that is, currently in the Western or agricultural industry, or anybody that is, thinking about getting into it?
I think I've got two for two different reasons. The first one, keep it private until it's permanent, because you may think you're telling your friends, but the devil's in the details. And then the second one is don't quit if you feel like you should, or because it's hard, because pressure makes diamonds.
Pressure makes diamonds. Wow. I like that. I think we'll end it there.
Sounds
I
good to me.
appreciate you for opening up, man.
Absolutely. You
Heck
bet.
yeah.
You bet. I appreciate y'all coming.
I enjoyed it.
Absolutely.